Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, my name is Ekene and I make content for Jamstack developers. I'm a software engineer and I work for Netlify as a developer experience engineer. And today I want to show you something really nice, and that is how to build a large Jamstack site without suffering the bad effects of long build times, right? Today I want to build it with Next.js and on-demand builders. If you're wondering what on-demand builders are, you're asking the right questions. So according to the documentation, it's just regular serverless functions that are used to generate web content as it is needed, right? That's why it's called on demand in the first place. So as opposed to generating all your site contents at build time, on demand builders can help you generate the parts of your site that you need when users request for them, as opposed to when your site builds. So that can incredibly speed up build times. This is the site that we're going to build today. I already have it deployed to Netlify. If you look at the plugins section, you'll see that we have Essential Next.js plugin by Netlify installed. It's this plugin that gives you access to on-demand builders when you're building with Next.js. So if you look at the functions tab, you'll see that I have all these functions already automatically set up for me because I have on-demand builders running those functions in my project. So, but you don't need to worry about setting up any on-demand builder function, any serverless function. You don't need to do any of this. You just need to write your Next.js code and the plugin will handle the rest for you. So that's what we're going to do today. This is the site already running in development, and I'm going to show you what's going on locally. So right here, if I run yarn build, you should see that all the parts I have in my application, all the product pages I have here, all the blog posts I have here, all the documentation pages I have here should all be generated when the site builds. That is the expected experience, right? Yes. And that is exactly what happens here, right? So in my blog route, I'm generating all the blog posts, all the documentation pages, and also all the product pages I have in my application. And let me just run it locally to show you that that is in fact what is going on. So the site is reloading. Yes. So if I go to the shop route, I have all the products loaded. If I go to the blog site, I have all my blog posts, and the same with documentation sites and all of that. So how do you that's how regular Jamstack applications behave, right? All the parts of the application is generated at build time so that it's all readily available for users when they visit the site. As you can see, when I navigate around or try to go through the pages, you don't see any loading screen or anything trying to fetch data. It's all already pre-generated, so it's readily available. The trade-off is that if I have like 1,000 blog posts, or I have 1,000 products and also 1,000 documentation pages in this site, you will notice that it will take incredibly longer time to build because all of those thousands of pages are going to be generated while the site is building. So what I want to do today is just cherry pick the parts of this site that I want to generate when the site is building, and then I can defer the rest of the contents to be generated when the users request for them. And I'm going to do that with Next.js and on-demand builders. So here I'm going to stop the server. Actually, I should probably just leave it to run and go ahead and do my thing. So if you're not very familiar with Next.js, there are two functions that you should pay the most attention to, and that is get static props and get static parts. Get static parts is where we tell Next.js what parts we want to pre-render in the project, right? So as you can see here, I'm making a query to my documentation. Actually, let me go to the blog route. I think I prepared that. Yeah, this one's much better to explain from. So here I'm making a request to Sanity and I'm getting my posts. And for every post, I'm getting the slug. And I'm passing that as into my parts parameter here. So basically what I'm saying is I'm giving you all these parts, pre-generate them for me when the site is building. So if I log parts, for instance, here, this is the value. This is what I'm going to get, right? So this is how I'm telling Next.js, when this site is building, generate the part for large sites with ODB, generate the part for this one, generate the page for this post, and just do the same and generate all these posts for me at build time. So when I've done that, the get static props function will receive those parts as params and use it to actually do the fetch call and generate all the contents and populate my site where it is needed. That's it, basically. So the get static parts function generates all the parts that needs to be rendered and then passes them down to get static props, who uses them to then make the API call, get all the product pages that, well, in this case, the blog posts that needs to be pre-generated, and then pre-generate them and put them where it needs to be. But we want to change that functionality, right? Because I don't want to fetch all the products at build time. I want to fetch just one. So let's just use one product or one blog page in this instance, right? Say for instance that I'm here, and when the site builds, I only want to pre-generate this post and then leave all the other ones to be pre-generated at build at request time. So to do that, I will come back here, and since the parts array already has all the blog posts that is available on my site, instead of rewriting the query, I can really just get the first one, since that's what I want to do. So I'll do const first post, and let's make it equal to parts, and get the first one, and that is large sites with ODB, which also translates to the first blog post on my site, right? All right, cool. So next, instead of sending all the parts here, let me just comment this out and rewrite the entire thing. So I'll send this. Okay. Oh, okay. So fun fact, I installed GitHub Copilot, and I've been having so much fun with it. I mean, you see just what just happened here. It's incredible. Yeah, but this tutorial is probably not about GitHub Copilot, so let's move on. The next thing you want to do is tell Next.js, because right now what happens, let me show you something. What happens is, if you try to generate a blog post that doesn't exist yet, it will error out. It will give you a 404, right? So this page, we are able to fetch this page because it was pre-generated at build time, right? That's why we're able to come here. If I make for instance try to fetch a page that doesn't exist by messing up the URL, you should see that we get a 404, right? And that is because we are passing the value of fallback as false here. If you change the value to true, what happens is Next.js is going to try and get a fallback version of this page, of whatever page you're requesting for, and just render that fallback page while the actual page is generated in the background. But since we're using on-demand builders, what will happen is when we set the value of fallback to true, it will use an on-demand builder function to go ahead and get that page, number one, put it inside the CDN, it notifies Edge CDN for you, and then return the page to the user, so that subsequent requests for that particular part will not be pre-generated again. And let me show you what that means is, first of all, we need to find a way to tell Next.js that, oh, I need to be sure that the fallback version of this page is being rendered. That's the only time we can go ahead and tell on-demand builder to do its thing. So let's get the router. I think it's use router, right? Yes. Thank you so much. And let's initialize that router. What am I doing? Use router. And here I will do, so I'm going to do this check just to be sure that before I try to access the data within this page, I want to be sure that the fallback version of the page is true. And you can do that from the router. So this is fallback, exactly. So what I want to do is, if the fallback version of this page is true, then just return a div that says loading, basically just a loading screen. Boom, boom, boom. And that's it. So now I can go ahead and use this data in this template if that is true. I think that's it, really. What do I want to do again? That should be it. Okay, let's, fingers crossed, I'll try this again. I'll stop this and run yarn build. What will happen if I've not done something wrong is, since we are working in the blog post page, what should happen is every other part of the site should generate as it probably did the last time. But this particular page will only generate the first blog post, which is what we specified here, right? So looking at the shop route, everything is getting generated as before. Looking at the documentation route, everything is getting generated as before. Yeah, but then looking at the blog post, you see that we've only generated one, right? And the build time, because of this, has gone low. Well, not so obvious now because we are only generating like 5 blog pages. But imagine that this is 1,000 blog pages that you have to generate, and somehow you have the ability to generate just a small chunk. It will reduce your build time. It will keep your user's experience as it usually is, because it's a Jamstack site. So it's actually really just a win-win situation for you. But since we've done this, why not just go ahead and do it for the rest of the pages, right? So instead of generating all the documentation routes, we can just get one and do the same for the products routes as well. So let me close this up and do the same thing. I'm not sure if it's worth your time to just hang around and watch me do the same thing over and over again, but I'll go ahead and do it anyway. Feel free to skip to the ending part if this doesn't interest you in any way. So once again, I'll get use router from next router, and I will initialize it again. Actually, maybe I should just copy it and save everybody's time. I'll get this, come back to docs. Okay, so then what I need to do is get the first documentation page. Let's call it first doc is parts 0. That's it. Then I will define a new parts property and pass in thank you GitHub Copilot, and then switch this to true. I think that should do it. If any of the things I'm doing at this point don't make any sense to you, please feel free to ask questions in the comments. I will also leave a link to the ODB documentation page so that you see what's going on. Ideally, what's going on here is if this page doesn't exist, we'll use an on-demand builder to go and fetch that page, put it in the CDN, and return it to the user, so that subsequent visits for the route that is being requested for doesn't get regenerated again. It just gets served from the CDN. So let's do this once again. If I've done it right, now we should be generating only one blog post and only one documentation page. The products should still be the same. Fingers crossed. And that is exactly what's going on. So one blog post, one documentation page, and several product pages. Let's complete it. Since we've already come this far, let's go ahead and do the same thing. Okay, I think I'm going to do a lot of copy and pasting this one. I'll get this. Now put it here. Now get this other one. Now put it right here before destructuring. and that's what it should be. Then I'll get the first product from parts. And I'll switch my parts here to give it a new part. Make it an array of params. That's it. Thank you, Copilot. And I'll change this to true. Okay, I hope that was fast enough. Let's see if we get only one product generated for all 3 routes. Yes, one product got one documentation page and one blog post. That is good. I love it. This is amazing. I mean, I can already extend the thoughts of this to kind of like see that I have 1,000 blog posts. Once again, I'm saying the same thing, 1,000 documentation pages and 1,000 products. If it takes me about 5 minutes to build all of those pages, imagine if I'm generating just 10, right? That is significantly lower in build times. So let's check the files that has changed. Let's add those files. Let's commit it. Use ODB in Next.js. And let's push that. So I already have the site on Netlify, so it should be building if I go to it. Let me try. And also, I should probably show you locally how that works. Now, this should no longer, of course, that is exactly what is expected, right? Because this is a part that doesn't exist, not even in the product, not even in the schema, not in the project. But if I do go to a route that does exist, then you get the product, you get the page that is being requested for. So let's go to documentation page. This page already exists because it's generated at build time, but all these other ones will be generated on request. So if I go here, I'll see the page. I mean, it's really fast, right? But if this was not fast enough, you would see that if I go to features, it should probably take a little bit longer because the page will be generated when I clicked on this button. It doesn't already exist, right? So it takes a minute, and there you go. Anyway, let's go ahead and check the site building because I think I just pushed this. Okay, so this site has been deployed. So if I go here, I should get exactly the same experience. Awesome. So if I go to blog, this will already be generated at build time. This should be generated at request time. So if I look at the deploy log, I should see that only one page was generated per route. Here we have just one blog page got generated, the same for documentation and the same for the products. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you've learned 1 or 2 things about how to build large sites. This technique helps you a lot. If you're not using Next.js, you should give it a shot. Make sure you're using on-demand builders to kind of like help you optimize how you build large applications on the Jamstack like this. I don't know when next I'm going to be putting out the next video, but just look forward to it. I'll let you all know on Twitter. If you have content preferences, if you have anything that you'd rather want me to teach or talk about, please feel free to send them my way and I'll make sure to create the content for you. Thank you all very much. See you next time.